It's our market in turmoil. The list of disruptions, our take on it, and what to do about it. My name is Ming Richardson, the compliance broker for Maximum One Realty and Realtor
And
Partners.
my name's Alan Richard. I'm the managing broker here at Maximum Realtor and Realtor Partner. And you can't say that the real estate industry hasn't had a couple of years of pretty intense,
Ups and downs.
yeah, ins and outs, things going on. And we just kind of want to go over that because sometimes it can feel overwhelming. Our thoughts are let's talk about the different disruptions. We're going to kind of go over what we're really seeing happen. And then we're going to talk about what do you really do about it, right?
Right.
So first thing we definitely want to touch on is, we still have fallout even today from the NAR lawsuit. So like there's been a lot of regulatory and commission structure things that have gone over the last couple of years. So
And everybody's so happy.
everybody has been really, really suit happy. And by the way, they still are. Everybody's still suing each other. But for us in the field, the for most realtors, it has really kind of it's tweaked. I wouldn't say it's like changed the entire world, but it's definitely tweaked in the way that we represent buyers, and it's also tweaked the way that we represent
Our
sellers.
sellers, right?
Now we have to have a buyer brokerage agreement signed prior to showing property. And that's one of the biggest changes, I think, is that having that representation, we still have agents that don't understand that you, with your buyer, like when it comes
It's your client.
as a buyer's rep, as a buyer's agent, your buyer is the one that you negotiate your compensation with. When you submit your offer, you'll submit that offer you may ask the seller to pay the compensation for the benefit of the buyer, but you agree to and negotiate your compensation with your buyer. And now for our sellers, there's a big shift going on because, a lot of our sellers still believe that it's the seller's market.
Correct.
And we still see also, even this past week, I see things about, well, the buyer asked, the offer asked for this percentage and we countered back at this percentage and they walked. And the listing agent was like, I think that's unethical. That's not unethical. That's an expense for the buyer. The buyer doesn't want to come out of pocket. So we've had a lot of changes.
A lot of conversation.
A couple of years.
A lot of conversation, a lot of changes in how things are being perceived and also correct that perception to the correct lenses.
Yeah. So honestly, this is one of those changes that we've seen that it's just like, and I know that sounds weird to say this, normal. There's always been these kind of things going on in our market, and we adapt and we overcome. We work around it. We figure how to make sure that we're staying compliant. Like I've seen a lot more transparency in our marketplace since this has come forward. I see us doing a much better job of trying to make sure who represents who in a transaction, that all things are being put up front much more so, I feel, than they have been in the past. So I'm not really upset or wound up about that at all, but we still have a lot of people that are still kind of caught off guard by those chances.
They're just thinking, I always practice this way. That's the way I always done business, and therefore they should not participate because. But what they don't realize, there are some legal ramifications on some of the items that they think is happening or what they're entitled to. So our landscape, our industry landscape has changed so much that you really need to be informed of what's going on. Without it, then you may put yourself in a position where you might be working for free.
Now, one of the things that's definitely been happening in our marketplace over the last couple of years here is, boy, we had this rapid rise in mortgage interest rates over the last few years.
Mhm.
I mean, everyone thinks back fondly to the time when the rates were in the 3s and the 4s. And then I remember when the rates, it was fun memory. Yeah. And I remember when rates went to 5% and we had buyers like, this is ridiculous. No one will ever pay for a home at 5%. And they went to 6%. They said, absolutely unbelievable. This will never, ever happen. And then they went to 7. And then they went to 8, right? And now we're seeing where mortgage rates are coming back down. And whether it's a government, VA loan, FHA, or whether it's a conventional, we're somewhere in that 6% range, 5.8 to 6.25, 6 1/3, somewhere in that range. And so like we have seen interest rates that have been very, very volatile. And I'm not trying to be flippant about it, but we have seen a lot of volatility going on there. We do know that is a big deal, especially to our buyers right now. Right. And so that change has impacted the affordability for so many of our buyers out there. Because at the same time as we had these interest rates move, and you can't say that interest rates aren't connected to price, because our price has been highly driven by demand. And so when I think rates have gone out,
low, I mean, the price sharply inclined.
right?
And that's because at the end of the day, for the buyer, it's about the monthly mortgage, right? So at a 3%, $300,000, in today's rate at 6%, I can only afford maybe 250.
Yeah.
So that's where the market price has shot up double digit during pandemic, because buyer was able to afford his home at those payments.
But now what we are seeing when it comes to price in our market is that it really has kind of plateaued. Like our market, when it comes to an overall pricing arena, and just again, every market's different price points are different. Sandy Springs is not the same as Griffin. Like there are differences in every market. However, overall, like here in the state of Georgia, we're really pretty level. We're somewhere in that 2 to 3% appreciation range, which is we're not seeing prices go down, but we aren't seeing them really shoot up either. So we're kind of in that kind of plateau, I would say, so we're kind of sitting there. But a lot of that has been heavily driven by the mortgage rates, that you can't say they aren't tied together. And then at the same time, our affordability has really driven, affordability is really driving our market, right? Because, like that affordability issue is so important. And I don't care if you're a first-time buyer or repeat buyer, affordability continues to be a big deal. When you sell, everyone loves appreciation. I totally get that. But as a buyer, appreciation hasn't been a lot of our buyers' best friend. So I totally get it out there. Now, the good part of that is that we have seen wages increasing, and increasing at a higher rate than real estate has been for several years. And so that really has also helped to, alleviate that situation a little bit. One other area where it is directly tied to everything else that we've been talking about is that because we've seen such a challenge on affordability,
An increase in price,
our builders pull back a little bit, right? So we don't have enough houses on the market. And so
but at the same time, the builder has sitting inventory, which means that it all come down to affordability. So the builder are slowing down a little bit in construction because they got to sell that inventory, existing inventory right now.
But we have more inventory this time of year than we did a year ago, right? However, we're still down on inventory from where we were in 2018 and 2019 pre-COVID. We still have less inventory now than we do. But our builders have been pulling back because that's the only place where our inventory really comes. Mm-hmm. It's not like we stopped making babies and stopped having, children and that kind of stuff, right? So we still got that going on. So there is right now kind of this imbalance where we have a lot of pent up supply demand at the moment, and our supply is kind of tight. And so as we start seeing interest rates softening a little bit more, now I don't see interest rates going
like 3% or 4%.
Well, they're never going back to 3%.
That wasn't artificially created by the government to have those incredible rates.
Yeah. Now, one other area where we're hearing a lot of grumbling, but it's really a lot more talk than we're actually seeing in reality, and that is on like credit stress, foreclosure pressure, that kind of stuff. We aren't seeing a big rise in foreclosures at all. And I know that we do have folks that are having economic issues, and I'm not trying to take anything away from somebody that is having financial issues and problems with their local economy or jobs and that kind of stuff. However, we don't even really know anybody personally that's upside down. We know of a lot of people that might need to sell and capture that equity, but we don't see this big foreclosure wave coming. We don't see default servicing is not shooting through the roof. Are there more than they were before?
Absolutely.
A little bit, yeah, but nothing beyond the range of reasonable. As a matter of fact, we're still well below where we were prior to COVID, pandemic, all that kind of stuff. Even the years prior to pandemic, we are still way low on that because nobody wants to be there, right? So the other area here where there's been just a lot of turmoil, right? And that is in corporate consolidation, mergers. Everybody's buying everybody, acquiring everybody. Things are moving around. So some things have kind of gone on in our industry just to make sure that everybody's up to speed. So Rocket went out and they bought Redfin. Now, Redfin hadn't made money in their life, but that's okay. Rocket bought them because it's a good idea for them. Now they have a mortgage and they have a real estate side. At the same time, we also have Compass. Compass has come in. They're the largest real estate company in the United States, and they are pushing heavy on private listings. A lot of that was a big push against the clear cooperation policy.
Correct.
And I'm going to give you my take. Now, this is my own personal take. I am not I'm not a lawyer. I'm just telling you how I feel as a broker owner of a brokerage company. I feel that listings should be out for everybody. I'm not a big believer of private listing networks. We've been approached about keeping our listings in-house.
Private network, meaning if you're not in the club, you're out. So, the objective is to help the seller sell the property at the best market demand. If the property is being privately held, then there's very little demand. So when you do a private holding listing, it doesn't make sense. It does not serve the public. It does not serve the sellers.
Now, there are some instances where, we represent a professional basketball player. We've had people that have had issues with other family members, and they didn't want people to know that they were getting. And so there is a time and a place where you would not enter a listing into the multiple listing service.
But if you're looking at
highly rare,
yeah,
and we have a way to work around that already. Like here in Georgia, all we have to do is make it a non-exclusive listing.
No, yeah, that too.
Yeah, we can do that, and then we can't put it into the MLS unless it's an exclusive listing agreement. So we can definitely put it that way. Now, these big companies, they're pushing private listing networks, and in my opinion, it's because it's only good for the company, because they get the listing, and hopefully one of their agents will turn around and sell it. I don't think it's good for the consumer. I don't think it's good for the public. I don't think it's good overall for our industry. However, that is one of the big things that are here going on. But my take is, I don't think, and by the way, the data backs me up, right? Clear MLS, all these different companies have done surveys and studies and found out the sellers net less in private listing networks. So I get it. If you are hardcore about it, I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm telling you that my take on it is it's anti-competitive, and like
it's not free market.
Yeah, I don't like it. I think all listings should be available for all buyers. And I just think that's the right way to be. Now, the interesting thing that happened with this is we being the folks that aren't huge fans of private listing networks, we have a strange bedfellow all of a sudden. Because all of a sudden, guess who's on our side? Zillow. Now, I know a lot of real estate agents that like if Zillow's for it, I shouldn't be, right? And I'm not saying it's that way. I don't have this hate relationship for Zillow. They're a big player in our industry.
Absolutely.
A lot of people start their searches on Zillow. So I don't think that you can ignore Zillow. And I'm not trying to ignore Zillow. But Zillow went into the private listing fight and said, look, if you list a property in private listings, then we won't ever list it onto the Zillow site. So now guess who's suing who, right? So everybody's suing everybody all over again.
Yep.
This is a weird instance where I feel like just because Zillow kind of agrees with a lot of the real estate industry doesn't mean that I don't think that Zillow's doing this solely for good. It's also
for sure self-preservation.
100%. Right? But that doesn't mean just because it's in Zillow's best interest that it's also not in our best interest too. So, I do take that with a grain of salt. Now, at the same time, the other big news here is even though their Compass is pushing private listings, now they are going to buy anything. So the largest real estate brokerage firm in the United States is buying the second largest brokerage firm in the United States. And so we have all this turmoil, stuff with NAR, stuff with the market, all these kind of things going on. And right now we're seeing a lot of real estate agents, and they walk around pulling their hair out, thinking like the sky is falling, things are terrible, all this kind of stuff going on, and the market's garbage, and I mean, if you took out the little dip and the jump that we had in 21, 22 kind of thing, we'd be in the real range of very, very normal. Overall, nationally, we're selling 11,000 houses every single day. Matter of fact, right now, there was a recent study done by Realtor.com, and they said, you know what the best time to buy in 2025 is?
Right now.
Right freaking now. It's absolutely now is the best time. Now is the sweet spot for buyers because we have more listings, better pricing, and more open sellers at the moment for it. So this is a great time to be a buyer right now. And meanwhile, we've got agents going, well, I don't know about business. It sure doesn't seem to be, and they're doing all this kind of stuff. Oh, that was a bad invitation. I know, but I'm just saying that like we are getting all wrapped up about the things that really don't matter, right? We are all wound up. Look, we are looking at sales jumping pretty significantly. I mean, in the range of 10% next year. I mean, most predictions have us coming in, somewhere in the we're going to probably finish this year at 4,800,000 sales, but next year is going to be 5,000,002, 5,000,003. That's like a 10% increase in sales next year. So we're going to see a lot more.
So let's forget about the fusses. Seriously, y'all. It's time to get back to the basic.
Yeah.
It is time to focus on our buyers and sellers.
Oh my gosh. If you focus on buyers and sellers instead of focusing on the sky is falling, imagine what happens to your business.
And by doing that, you need to start working on your database.
Right.
Okay. Oh. By doing that, also build relationship with your client. Like apology. It can be an apology phone call. Say, hey, I'm so sorry. I know we haven't talked for over a year, but I still want to call you and see how you're doing.
Yeah.
Or you can say, hey, I was just thinking about you the other day, and just say, how are the kids? How's the game? Blah, blah, blah. So this is how you build a relationship.
But real estate is all about relationships. You've got more time to drop off pop buys right now.
Hey, look, fall's coming, pumpkin pie is in. So, Kirkland or make your own if you like to bake. Absolutely. And deliver those to your client that you know that's going to help you.
Take a minute, send some handwritten notes. Now it's a great time. We love handwritten notes, largely because they're so special. They're very rare anymore to get handwritten notes.
Correct. And so, and also send more texts. A lot of our Gen Zs and X and Ys and everybody else that they love just texting away. And
text is not bad, but you know what else these things do? You can make phone calls with these. I know it's crazy talk, right? But you can do more than text and play games. You can actually call and talk to people.
If I ask you, instead of playing games on your phone 2 hours a day, start prospecting, and that can potentially earn you $6,000 or $7,000. Would you say, no, I want to play games?
Yeah.
Or will you say, hey, these are great items. I want to take a trip next year.
Yeah. Send more property updates. I mean, property updates is one of my favorite things to send out because a lot of times the people that see those property updates, if it's a property that interests them, they contact the person that shared the property with them, right? Catch up with your old friends, reignite those relationships. But honestly, look, we are looking at next year being a really good year. But if you want next year to be a
great year,
it starts now. Next year starts now. Don't keep waiting around. Now's not the time to be super passive. Now's the time to really up your relationship, up your engagement. Stop with all the fuss and fluff and everything going on. Because you know what really matters at the end of the day? Your buyers and sellers. That's what really matters.
Your clients. Well, thank you for watching us. We hope to see you